was sitting here talking with my wonderful guide and cameraman, the most gracious hosts in the world. I'm trying to get them big heads here. But we were talking about how best to serve the Wounded Warrior community. And I've been around the block a couple of times since I was injured, and I've seen a number of different programs out there, from the Olympic Committee on down to private civic organizations. And a lot of people ask in the civilian sector, what can I do? You know, I feel so helpless. I don't know what kind of contribution I could give that could make a difference. And I tell them all the time, you don't have to give a great deal of money. You know, if that's what you've got and that's what you like to do, then wonderful. But it's not necessary. If you see somebody and you recognize them as a military person, be it man, woman, it doesn't matter. Just walking up to them and telling them thank you goes a long way, because they will remember that thank you for the rest of their lives. Especially when you see a gentleman or a lady with a Vietnam veteran's medal. Those are the ones who deserve the thank you. They deserve our nation's thanks, and have for nearly 40 years. The first ones that ever came up to me and Walter Reed to take us out of the hospital to provide us a meal outside the confines of the hospital were Vietnam veterans. And they told us that they would never let happen to us what happened to them. And I thought that was the most selfless act I had ever seen. Those who were treated the poorest upon their return became the most gracious to those who followed in their footsteps. And it's an incredible honor to have been given the opportunity to serve my nation. With 32 years of service under my belt, I still feel like I didn't do enough. I would have stayed 40 years had they let me. I would have stayed 50 years had they let me. And people say, well, why would you want to do that? You know, you were injured. You did enough. And my answer is this. I stayed with it because I loved the guys that I served with and that served with me. And I had a special affinity for those young men and women that I was able to mentor along the years. And if you can remember one person in your military career that takes the time to remember a birthday, remember a holiday, remember an anniversary, those are the things that you carry with you for the rest of your life. It eases the pain, it helps those scars dissolve, and it reaffirms your confirmation in the American society. And as long as our nation continues to provide and produce young men and women the quality that I've seen during this past weekend, then this nation will be just fine, and we're in good hands, because we are only as good as the next generation of warriors that we produce. We are sheepdogs, and we had to talk about this earlier. And my friends here said, why do you say we're sheepdogs? Well, who tends the flock? The sheepdog puts himself in harm's way and goes out to tend the flock when no one else will. And that's what a warrior does. We protect our nation so our children never have to hear the sound of jets flying over in anger and the explosions of ordnance going off around them. The only time I ever want my children to have to experience that is if they decide to go to a movie. I never want them to see it in real life, because it's just something that you never want to see unless you absolutely have to. This is the greatest nation on earth. And for those fortunate enough to have stepped outside the bounds of the continental United States and gone to third world nations, it doesn't take long for you to realize how blessed we are to be citizens of the United States of America. And be it whatever your views are, political or otherwise, our nation has stood up and gotten behind our wounded warriors and given their all for those who have given their all. And that makes a tremendous difference.
Thank you.